Hey, welcome to the regular Thursday night post. If you missed it from last week, last Thursday was the first of the month, and I had the Bourbon Bar Fight series. That was so much fun to film for you guys, and it was an eye-opening experience of just hammering bourbon on top of bourbon. So if you haven't seen that, I would encourage you to go back and check it out, and please give me a thumbs up on that thing, and go ahead and subscribe, guys, because I have videos coming out every Monday, Thursday, Saturday at 6 p.m. We have on Mondays the Bourbon Burner series, where I'm cooking some kind of food with bourbon, infused or glazed or whatever. And so far we've had the bourbon brats, and we've had bourbon, the sugar bourbon bacon. It was really, really good. So go back and watch those. And then on Thursdays, the first Thursday of every month is the Bourbon Bar Fight series. And if you go back and watch the first video, you'll see what it's all about. And then every Saturday is the Bourbon Blind. That's where I don't know what's in A, B, and C or what's in the vial. I've done a couple of them. You can go back and see those. But we're going to do a regular review right after this. All right, we have Widow Jane. This is a blend, but it's a very tasty blend from what I remember. I've had this one time. I was in a bourbon bar, and I was trying to drink everything on their menu that night. But I did have a glass of this. They did put it over ice. It was the clear ice. That's just the way they served, and I didn't ask for a snifter. But again, we were hammering a lot of bourbon that night. So I haven't had this from a snifter. I have not dissected it. What I remember is I enjoyed the glass. So it's going to be fun. So this will be the first time really trying this bourbon. Now, Widow Jane is aged 10 years in New American Oak barrels. It says here on the bottle, this is batch 215, bottle 127, 2020. It is 45.5% alcohol by volume, which is 91 proof. On the back, reviving the lost art of marrying, blah, blah, blah. And they say hand assembled. Now, here's one thing. This says bottled by, okay? And it says it's using Kentucky, Tennessee, and Indiana bourbon, but it also lists Widow Jane as a distillery, Brooklyn, New York. Weird, but it does say it's 5 barrel batches. Okay, so it says hand assembled in Brooklyn using the richest and rarest straight bourbons, only ever in 5 barrel batches, non-chill filtered and proofed with our own mineral water from legendary Rosendale mines, blah, 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 which means they cut it with their water. But Widow Jane is talked about, is a distillery, but this is a blend of, we'll say rare. That's what they say. But I took the paper off, but I have not uncorked it. Let's do that now. Nice on the nose. Okay, here we go. I'm going to pour you a little. And you can look down and see that. I don't pour you much, but I'm going to pour me a little more so I can get a good swirl on it. Little drops. Okay. Pretty tasty. Now we'll set this over here. Remember, now if you're on a computer, you can scroll around. If you have your phone, you can move it around. If you have the visors on, it looks like you're sitting right here. All right, so let's give this a swirl and start looking at it. Medium to light amber. It's not as light as some, but it's down there, pretty far down on the scale. So it's pretty good light amber. Wow, that is thick. That is thick. That has really good legs. That has some good oils in it, I can tell you that right now. That's some good beads. It's coming down rather slow. I like this. I like the legs on this. Yeah, this is, and they develop so quickly. Some bourbons, it takes a few swirls. This was like, wham. And the trails coming down they please me. Let's put it that way. Let's nose this thing. Now, it's hard to pick out a mash bill on this because it is a blend. But, you know, when we talk about like Four Roses small batch, Four Roses single barrel, it gives you the mash bill. It says 36% rye, whatever percent corn. I can't remember the rest of it. But Four Roses small batch is a blend of Four Roses bourbons. So, you know, it's hard to pick out the exact, unless they publish it and say we use exactly this much of this, this, and this. A little punchy, but creamy on the nose. I am definitely getting caramel. There is some fruits, and I'm getting some darker notes in there. Even though this is such a light amber, it's surprising how many darker notes I'm getting, and I am getting some good wood notes. There is a little breadiness to this, but there's also an underlying earthy note, but I am getting some cherry. Some of those notes are very subdued. It's probably because of the blend. Wow, that's a really, really nice nose. I mean, I'm enjoying just nosing this bourbon. There's a lot going on here. Wow, there's some candy in there. It's hard to, what is that? It's like faintness of fruit flavor, you know, but it's like if you had a hard candy, you smell it and you don't really get anything. Now, if you get it wet in your mouth and smell it, then, you know, but man, there's some stuff hidden in there. And I'm hoping it's going to explode on the tongue. And we already know it's pretty oily, so I'm expecting a really good tongue coating, a really good finish on this thing, especially at 91 proof. Man, that drink's like a dream. Holy crap. That's good. This is really, really good. And you know, from watching past reviews, if you've seen them, I do love a blend, a good blend. Now, I don't like all blends, but I do love a good blend. It just brings more complexity to the single snifter. But when it's done in a specific way for a specific purpose, you know, like the infinity bottle, you're going to get, you know, all kind of junk. But they blend and age, you know, as well. Man, that caramel. There's a little spice kick to it. Long finish. Long. Getting a little warmth in the top of the stomach. I'm going to take a little bit bigger swig here shortly and get that, man, those trails. Wow, that is some thick stuff. And it coats all the way over. And when bourbons coat that well across the tongue, you get this explosion all at once. You get in the woods. And I would even say I'm picking up some hints of tobacco in here. So there's a lot going on with this. But definitely the cherry, not getting a lot of apple off of it and not getting a lot of rye out of it either. I am getting some, but again, we don't know the mash bill of the different bourbons they put in it. Not a lot of toastiness to this, so not a lot of like toasted barley that's coming out forward anyway. But definitely corn, wheat, a little bit of rye. Wow, drinkability through the roof, This stuff here, there is a sweetness to it, but it is not Elijah Craig sweet, you know, scale. But it's sweeter than midpoint for sure. I have some drier bourbons. Wow, that is really, really good. Yeah, the caramel is coming through. It's not really dipping into the dark molasses or anything from a long aged. I mean, I know it says 10 years, but we don't know what. Now, they say it's a blend of bourbons, not, so if it is a blend of bourbons and they aged this, either they got all 10-year aged bourbons or they got bourbons that were already aged, because they have to be aged at least 2 years to be called a bourbon, and then aged it an additional 10. So I don't know. I would have to read. Again, I try to bring you only what's on the bottle. So I don't know the whole story behind this, but there is, I mean, that light amber throws me off a little, unless they're getting really high alcohol bourbons and diffusing them with a lot of water. Gosh, that is artful. Though the notes I'm getting off this, that grassy, earthy that came through on the nose is not coming through on the palate at all. This is smooth, creamy, highly drinkable, and it's still sub 100, so I won't call it dangerous, but it could be, because you can drink this so easily that you could be on your third snifter, and the ethanol doesn't pound you, and there's no singe at all. I mean, you can drink this like just smooth as can be. I mean, it is just so drinkable. There's a little bit of a buttery note to this as well. Just a slight hint of it. But it is very underlying, so it's definitely giving bourbon notes, but there's something else there too that sort of tips toward the Scotchy scale just a little bit, but not much. Well, you can tell I'm pounding this thing. I really enjoy Widow Jane. I think this was an excellent purchase. I love having it on my shelf. So I highly recommend it, if you can get it at a reasonable price. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. As always, please like and subscribe. Hit the bell down there for notifications. Share me out, and I promise I'll keep bringing you these videos.